My name is Sam Ovet, and today we're here with Chris O'Brien, who earned his Eagle Scout. Chris, is it 10 years ago now?
Almost. Yeah,
Almost
2008 was when I earned.
2008. So Chris earned his Eagle Scout in 2008, and we're going to talk with Chris, and we're going to go over a few questions. We're going to ask him what was really easy for him about earning Eagle, what were different hills or challenges that he had, or hills that he had to climb. We're also going to ask him what if he could give any advice to a current Life Scout, what would it be? And then we're going to talk about his unique perspective as a professional scouter now working for the Boy Scouts of America. And correct me if I'm wrong in that, Chris. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, I work for the Bay Lakes Council Boy Scouts of America.
Wonderful. So you say that one more time. You work for
Bay Lakes Council?
Bay Lakes
Yep.
Council.
Based at Appleton, Wisconsin.
Wonderful. And what's your role there?
I'm a senior district executive, which means I'm past kind of the entry level point. I've been a professional scouter for over 3 years. It'll be 4 years on June 10th. I started right out of college. Been in scouting for a long, long time since I was a first grader as a Tiger. So yeah, I've been an Eagle Scout since 2008. My border review was literally the week of my 18th birthday.
Oh, wow.
I finished my project literally the week before, or 2 weeks before, I guess, my 18th birthday. Cut it a little close, but I think actually my Eagle Scout certificate's right above my computer, and I actually had it signed the day before my 18th birthday by our Scout executive.
Oh, nice. So
Yep.
I can't wait to dive in and talk about that.
Right.
Before we start, because this is unique, we don't always have professional scouters on. Can you tell everyone what your role does as a senior district executive? Did you say?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
As a senior
Yeah.
district, what does that mean? What does that look like for scouts? Because that may be something that they end up viewing or have an interest in if they know
Sure.
about it.
Yeah. So being a professional scouter, it's a little bit different than being on a camp staff or being a scout yourself. One of the things that we do a lot is we recruit a lot of volunteers, and we also do a little bit of fundraising, and we also get to start new units, which I think is probably the most important part of the job is growing scouting every single day. Right now in the Voyager district, which I serve, it's made up of Brown, Door, and Kewaunee counties in northeast Wisconsin. We have about 3,000 scouts right now in our district, and we want to keep that growing. We're just a little bit over 3,000. Want to get to 3,200 next year, maybe 3,300 if we can. So we have about 100 different Boy Scout troops, venture crews, and Cub Scout packs in our district. And yeah, I work with a lot of incredible volunteers that give a lot of their time, talents, treasures, you name it, to scouting. And a lot of them don't even have kids in the program anymore. It's pretty incredible that they have fallen in love with the program so much and want to help these boys mature and grow and turn these boys into young men and these young men into leaders someday that are going to be running businesses and Fortune 500 companies and even the country someday. So it's pretty incredible what all the volunteers do day in and day out, for sure.
That's huge. Let me ask you another question for scouts that just to hone in a little bit more before we dive into those other questions. What does your day-to-day look like? Do you send a lot of emails? Do you call people?
There's a little bit of emails, yeah.
Around? Do you go talk to people and help them? What does it mean to what sort of components? What does your day-to-day look like? Or is it different every day? How would you structure that to share that with someone who's maybe a scouter that would say, wow,
Sure.
That's pretty cool. How would I, could I envision myself doing that?
Sure. It's not your average 9-to-5 job at all. It's definitely a lifestyle job. Volunteers, they're normally have day jobs, so they can only meet sometimes early in the morning and then usually at night around like dinner time or a little bit after.
Right.
Some of them can get off for their lunch hours and meet you. A lot of the retired volunteers, they can meet you pretty much any time during the day. Sometimes I have to go to businesses to pick up applications of new scouts, volunteers. Sometimes I'm dropping off patches from the last camporee that was held. Other times I'm meeting with donors to cultivate that, and so we can continue to fund a lot of the programs that we're doing in the council. And it's nice. You can kind of make your own schedule, and you can kind of fit in. Okay, I'm going to have a meeting from 1 to 2, and then after that, I have time to go home and eat something before I got to be at my next meeting at like 5 or 6. Sometimes in the morning, you might have to meet with somebody over breakfast or coffee. and things like that. So I might be working on a new unit where I'm going to go to a church or a civic group, and I'm meeting with them and explaining to them what scouting can do for them and what they can help scouting accomplish, and then help these young men, grow into the leaders of tomorrow for sure.
So you're really and then are you doing stuff on the weekends too? And when we talk about volunteers, let me just make sure that's clear for everybody and clarify. The volunteers are your scoutmasters, right? And your the folks that are involved with your troop. So if you're a scout, the volunteers that Chris is talking about, that's your scoutmaster. That's your name some other positions.
Committee chair, our district committee members, district commissioner, staff. We have a district chair that is our top volunteer for the entire district, and he runs the entire district committee with the assistance of the district commissioner and then the professional, or in my case, we have two professionals, my district director and then I both kind of work in the district together because it's so large and we have a lot of moving parts. It's good to have two professionals that can kind of guide everybody through, but the smaller districts might just have one district executive.
Got it. So is it safe to say that your role is really to empower the volunteers with the resources they need to run successful, healthy scouting programs? So that
absolutely,
scouters like the ones listening or yourself or myself, when we were in scouts, as scouts, have had the experiences that we did, great experiences. And is that kind of really what is that an accurate description?
Yeah, sometimes I'm a switchboard where I'm trying to get them in touch with another volunteer that could answer the question better than I can. But a lot of times next Monday I'm going to a troop meeting, or a pack meeting, to actually go help them recruit some more parents so that they can keep the pack running strong. Stuff like that, resource for programs that are going on in the council, different weekend events that are coming up. We have everything from, one of the weekend events that I do is the whitewater weekends that we have 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall. And it's kind of cool because I learned how to kayak at those weekends, and now I get to help the staff put on these weekends and put on some incredible experiences for young men and women that get to go on these whitewater adventures down the Wolf River in Wisconsin. So it's pretty cool. The scout camp that I learned at and taught at for a couple of years as a camp staff member, I get to go back quite a bit and help teach some of the kids that have never done it before or starting out and trying to hone their skills and get a little bit better. And yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to combine my work life with my passion too, which is whitewater kayaking. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. I know that Chris, you are a big paddler, and that's something that gets you super excited. And so I bet that's pretty special to have that opportunity and know that, I'm a big whitewater paddler myself, and know that you had the opportunity to give that experience to a lot of scouts through your daily work with the Boy Scouts. So that's not something everybody can say they do, and it's maybe unique to you, and that's something that you really enjoy and also get to facilitate and be a part of the process of helping scouts have that experience in some fashion. So that's cool too, and kind of one of the added benefits, I'm sure, for you and your role. I would imagine that's like pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really neat. And then the other cool thing too is our merit badge counselors. All of them have a unique set of skills and talents, and then they use those skills and talents to teach the boys the different merit badges. And it's amazing, some of the stuff, like we have a nuclear science merit badge now, and the nuclear power plant that's nearby in Kewaunee, it's pretty cool. They get to do a tour of that and get to learn all the experiences of that. And that's something that you don't get to see every day. And I'm sure school groups get to do it sometimes, but it's one of those things that if you're not in scouting, you might miss out on it.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's super cool. So let's do this. That was a great introduction to kind of what you do. And I think that's good for scouts to know, and just in general for folks to know who are involved with scouting, whether they're a volunteer or a scout themselves, to recognize that if they don't know, that there's a huge framework of individuals that are working both professionally and as volunteers and putting a lot of their time and energy into really making the program a success for scouts. And it really comes down to the people that are putting it on. And that's important, that you have really good people. And so, it's your job to get really good people and make sure they're equipped to do what they can. And so the scouts have a good experience, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Cool. So let's talk about your Eagle Scout. What was the easiest part for you about earning your Eagle Scout rank? We'll rewind your mental clock a little bit to thinking, okay, I'm 17 years old. because we know you got it in the 17, 18. You finished up right close to your 18th birthday. What was going on? You know, it's a journey, right? You started in Tiger, but you know, what are you thinking about in terms of what was the easiest things? What were the things that were super enjoyable to you that just clicked, that were fun and easy for you? And then we'll talk about some of the challenges and hurdles you had to come that usually are part of the things that help people really develop into the leaders they are.
Absolutely. So probably one of the easiest parts of earning the Eagle Scout was doing all the merit badges. I think doing merit badges is super fun because you get to learn a lot of different things. And I know some merit badges aren't as fun as some other ones. A lot of the required ones, they're required for a reason. They're helping you with your character development and learning about history and learning about how, you know, government works and things like that, how communication works, how to manage money, how to manage your personal fitness, those types of things. Not always the most fun, but they are a really important thing in your development as a person, especially as a man, to go through and work on all those different things and work on your aspects that way. And then you have the fun merit badges, the non-requireds, which are great, like pioneering. Everybody loves building stuff with rope and logs and building towers and monkey bridges. That's always a fun thing. Going kayaking, going canoeing, swimming. One of my favorite merit badges that I taught at camp was life-saving, because those are skills that you can apply when you're out with friends and somebody's in trouble and they're tired or they cramped up, and you can literally save their life right there. And it's one of those incredible things that without that experience and, you know, being able to learn how to do that safely and be able to rescue them and make sure that they don't hurt themselves anymore, it's pretty incredible that our kids and youth get to do that through scouting pretty much every summer camp. So that was one of the ones that I really enjoyed. And some of those skills I'm never going to forget because I taught them over and over and over again. Same with kayaking when I taught that. All those basic things, they come back to you so much quicker when you literally repeat them for 6 or 7 weeks straight at a summer camp. So yeah, merit badges was probably the easiest part and probably the most fun part too. And I really enjoyed working on camp staff. And camp staff was a blessing and kind of a curse too at the same time.
So you worked on a camp staff?
Yeah, Gardner Dam Scout Camp in White Lake. It's one of our 5 camp properties in the Bay Lakes Council. I worked there from when I was 15 till I was about 20, so 6 summers.
Nice.
I did everything from teaching outdoor skills, all the different basic requirements for tenderfoot, first class, second class. And then I moved over to the waterfront, was a lifeguard for about 4 years, and then I taught whitewater kayaking the last 2. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. What a cool story. So you've really been involved with Scouts in is it that district?
I actually grew up in the district just north of the Voyager district, the Northern Lights district. I grew up in Marinette, Wisconsin. It's only about an hour away from Green Bay where I live now.
Right.
But our camp was literally, I think Gardner Dam and Bear Paw was about 45 minutes away, which is our other Boy Scout camp, which is literally 20 minutes from Gardner Dam. So we have these 2 beautiful properties, only 20 minutes apart. And they offer some unique programming too. So that's pretty fun.
Wow. That is really unique. And not everybody has that access to as amazing camps, but you know, so close. But for the most part, I think there's really good ones for everybody.
Absolutely, all over. Yeah, definitely go to your camps and enjoy it and work on camp staff. I think that's one of the most fun things that you can do as a scout, because you learn those skills and you actually commit them to memory instead of just learning them to forget them, like I think a lot of people did. Because I've really learned the skills, especially like all the knots, the basic knots that you can do, lashing, those types of things. I committed that to memory more because I taught them over and over again. So the more you teach it, the better you learn it.
Right. And would you say that had an impact on your motivation to finish your Eagle Scout or to work on that in any way? It may not have, but I'm just curious if it did.
I think one of the challenging parts about it was coming up with an Eagle project. So I'd go off to summer camp about this time of the year, maybe 2 weeks down the road. And then I would do that for, 8 weeks. I'd be there for 7 weeks of kids, and then I had the 1 week of staff week before all that. And then I'd get home, and then sports would start up. So I made it to life pretty quick. I made it to life by 13 years old or something like that. And then I kind of sat there for about 4 years, 5 years pretty much. And
that's pretty common, just
right.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was I just kind of got into this mode where I'm done with school, going to camp. All right, I'm done with camp. Now I'm going back into sports and school again. And I just kind of got into that mode. I had my merit badges all set for 2 years before I finally were like, all right, I got to get this Eagle project done. And my brother definitely motivated me. He's a professional scouter too, actually, in Minnesota. and he's kind of the reason why I kind of got into professional scouting. But I
Eagle
knew for
Scout?
sure he was going to hold it over my head if I didn't get my Eagle Scout.
So I'm gonna make a guess here. He's an Eagle Scout as well.
He is, yeah. He earned his Eagle Scout when he was 16 when we still lived in Minnesota before we moved to Wisconsin.
Got it. Got
And
it.
yeah, so he was already, doing the junior assistant scoutmaster role. And then he went off to college, two years later. And then I joined the troop right when he left for college, basically. And yeah, he would have held it over my head for a long time if I never would have earned my Eagle. So he was definitely a motivator for me. I believe I gave him my Eagle mentor pin for that specific reason, because I knew he would he was going to motivate me all the way to the finish. But yeah, that helped a lot.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I have a younger brother, and we're super close, and he's an Eagle Scout as well.
That's great. Yep.
We definitely motivated each other, so I can appreciate that
For sure.
a personal level, and it's pretty powerful. So, any other challenges as we talk about the challenges?
That was the biggest one, was just finding that Eagle project for whatever reason.
And so, what did you do? How did you find, like, how specifically, if you could think back, how did you specifically find it? Who did you ask? Did somebody share one with you that could be a potential project? Was it your scoutmaster? Was it your parents? Was it your brother?
It came down to the pastor of my church.
Okay.
He was looking for he wanted like a picture board of all the members of the church to kind of drive communication and make it easier for new members to come in, and then put a name with a face. So then that way they could kind of integrate into the church better and start volunteering for the different committees and things that go on in a church. So he really wanted that done, and he kind of had some specifics of how he wanted to do it. He kind of showed me on a piece of paper, like, hey, this is kind of how I want it. And then it was a matter of gathering all the materials for it. We ended up getting like 2 giant pieces of plywood, and then putting I guess little lips on them, and then having like a hook, and then getting all the picture frames, and then having all of the people from the parish bring their pictures in. And we didn't have like everybody has to have the same background. They're like, you could just bring a family picture, and then we had to put all the names on it. Right. So I worked with a lot of scouts from my Boy Scout troop to put the picture board together, to take all the wrappings off all the picture frames, put all the pictures in the frames, make the name labels and things like that. And when I was actually finishing up the project, I had one of my non-scouting friends actually work with me on the project, and he was in scouting a long time ago, Cub Scout. I think he got into Boy Scouts and then decided it wasn't for him, but we were so close that when I asked him for help, he was like, yeah, I'll help you for sure. And we were able to finish the project a couple weeks before my 18th birthday. And it was nice too. It had 2 sides and it had a hinge in the middle. So you could literally fold it up, put it in the corner if you needed more space. And then you could bring it back out and open it up, and it had handles so you could move it pretty easily.
How big was it?
It was pretty cool.
How big was it? How big was it?
Well, I forgot the exact dimensions. It was a pretty large piece of plywood for 2 of them, so it took up a decent amount of space in the fellowship hall or whatever. But yeah, it was nice.
And there was like, I mean, that must have been a lot of photos on it. How many photos were on the thing?
I think we made it so we could have almost 100 photos on it.
Wow.
So it's about 50 on each side, just about. Maybe a little less. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it was pretty large, and we didn't fill all the pictures. It was nice to show that there was room to grow and put more pictures on it. So I thought that was great also.
I like that. And now, did your pastor, did he approach you with it, or were you all having a conversation and he knew that you were working on your Eagle Scout and you approached him? Just because I think that can be a challenge for scouts sometimes. How does that conversation happen? Once it gets going, it's going. But who initiated it? Did you, in this case?
My dad actually, he was my scoutmaster all the way pretty much through Boy Scouting. And he kind of mentioned to me that, hey, pastor has this idea of a project. This might be a good one for your Eagle project. You should go talk to him about it. Cool. And I was pretty close with the pastor too, because he got me through confirmation and things like that. So I was meeting with him like every week for 2 years straight, pretty much, except for the summertime. So I knew him, so it wasn't too hard to approach him. And that's one of the cool things I really enjoyed about scouting too, and working on camp staff also, was being able to learn how to work with adults and how to communicate with them. Scouting is an easy way for kids to learn how to do that, because the scoutmasters and committee members, they're there to kind of guide you. It's different kind of when you're in a classroom, because the teachers kind of teach at you, but these scoutmasters and committee chairs, they're kind of helping you along the way instead of like speaking at you. They're working with you to kind of accomplish your goals and to get you, to Eagle Scout or whatever rank you want to get to. And I thought that was one of the really cool things, was being able to work with them, learn how to communicate with them. And it really made it easier for when I got into my professional life to work with people that were older than me and to guide them and give them advice and kind of work with them and make sure that they have everything that they need. So, yeah.
Oh, that's huge. And it makes me think of the fact that, and you experience it all the time with your role. Scoutmasters and adults involved with scouting, I think it's important to remember and just vocalize the fact that they want you to succeed as a scout. Like,
absolutely.
They're there, even though they may push you, right?
Yep.
If they're a good adult leader, I should clarify, if they're a good adult leader, they're there because they want to see you succeed. And
absolutely.
They want you to do well. They want you to grow as a leader, and they want you to finish your different ranks and have the different leadership opportunities. Is that something that's something that I've experienced? Would you echo that sentiment, or would you adjust it in any way?
I would definitely echo that. If the leaders are there for the right reasons and they really want the boys to succeed, and they're there to make sure that they have all the tools that they need and can accomplish their goals, I think that you're set up for success if you have a really good core, adult leadership that are willing to take the time, do whatever it takes to help these young men reach, Eagle Scout and reach their goals and move on to other things in the future. They can accomplish anything, really. It's amazing what those volunteers do, because they're giving their time. They're not getting paid. They're working their butts off to make you succeed as a youth. So they want you to, get your Eagle Scout, and they want to see you, get the badge pinned on you and see what happens in your future and move on to, bigger and better things after that too.
Right. And part of that is, from my point of view, the importance of getting your Eagle Scout is the fact that it signifies all the different things that you've done that lead up to actually earning the badge. Because it's not about the badge so much as it's about, in my view, it's not about the badge, but that signifies that you did it. You completed, and you came over and you had all these different growth experiences as a scout that are continue to shape you. A part of what shapes you, obviously, many other factors that shape someone in their life up to that point. But it can have a significant impact on how you go about doing things, and from a leadership perspective and a working with others.
Yeah, it's definitely a journey. Climbing that mountain, there's times where you have to readjust and kind of get your bearings again and keep climbing up the hill, because it's something that you can get your Eagle Scout really, really fast and then kind of coast the rest of the way through high school and things like that. But if you stick around and work all the way through and make it to 16, 17 and earn your Eagle Scout, that's perfectly okay, because there's more opportunities to help the younger kids move up. I think that was one of the other things I really enjoyed, was working with the younger scouts in my unit to really help them grow and get to where they wanted to be, so they could be the next senior patrol leader, they can be the next quartermaster, and then they can move up and get their Star Life and Eagle ranks as well. So it's fun to see the younger guys kind of grow and mature and learn all the skills, and giving them the skills and the opportunity to move up is one of the things that I really enjoyed as I was getting older in scouting and getting closer to making sure I got my Eagle Scout done. So
sure. And did you find that I know you enjoyed it. Did you find that you learned a lot from that part of the experience?
Yeah, I think when you're teaching other people, kind of like I was saying before, that you learn it a lot better and you commit it to memory, and then it's something that you don't forget, and it really builds those leadership skills. I think sometimes it's hard to kind of manufacture those leadership opportunities, but scouting kind of bottles it and gives it to you, and then you have that opportunity to work on those leadership things. And I know a lot of people, when they put Eagle Scout on their applications, they rise to the top of the pile on different job opportunities.
Right.
It's something that it's such a tough thing to earn, because there's so many things that grab your attention as you get older, in high school especially. I know when I was in high school, I was involved with band, choir, theater, sports. I was doing all these things besides some other outside of school stuff, church youth group, those types of things. And then eventually, when you get to 16, it's girls and cars and things like that.
Right, girls, cars, and sports is the big three.
Yeah,
there are other things. There are other things as well that demand your
sure
attention.
Yeah, it can take your attention away from the ultimate goal, and I can definitely attest that those things, distracted me for a while until I finally said, all right, I'm going to earn this thing. And this is all I have to do is this Eagle project, and then I'm good to go. And yeah, it was pretty cool. One of the kids that was younger than me, he kind of became my best friend pretty much all the way through scouting. And we worked at camp together. We had our board reviews on the same day. And then I think it was like maybe the 2 or 3 weeks after my ceremony, I actually emceed his ceremony. So that was really cool. It was a fun experience for me to do that.
That's so cool. That's one of the unique things about scouting is you do have that opportunity to learn yourself and then lead others and give back in a way that you're teaching others, which ultimately, for me, and echoing what you said, helps. From my perspective, it helped me. I'll talk about my experience. Helped me learn better, even more, and grow and learn from those experiences, which is huge. So now let's talk about hindsight, right? Which we've done some.
A little bit, yeah.
If hindsight's 20/20, as we say.
Yeah.
What piece of advice would you give a current Life Scout now? Or another way to think about it is, what piece of advice would you give your 16 or 17-year-old, or 17 and a half, or 17 and
sure.
3/4 self? What advice would you give yourself about earning the Eagle Scout rank, working on it, and balancing the different things that, I don't want to call them distractions because they're important too,
right,
in your life, but how do you balance them? And just in general, what sort of advice would you give them? Totally open, your call. Think about it from that perspective. Try and 17-year-old brain in, think about it from that.
I think the biggest thing is don't wait too long to really finish those last things. If you have, these 2 or 3 lingering merit badges that you really need to get done, and sometimes it's harder to do the merit badges that you don't like first, but it's good to get them kind of out of the way so you can kind of focus on the other things that are going on, especially like the Eagle Scout project. Because I waited too long to do that, and that's one of the toughest parts of the whole, experience of trying to earn your Eagle Scout from life.
So you had all your merit badges done, and you just.
Oh yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, all my merit badges were done. The last thing that I had to do, I had all my leadership done. It was just the project that I had to finish. That was the last thing. What I can tell people is make a plan and work on each part, and try to figure out ways to. And this is the other cool thing about scouting too, is the goal setting part of scouting. It really helps you when you get up into your professional careers and things like that, because you're going to have goals of some kind that they're going to hold you to when you do your reviews.
And you might choose to hold yourself to them too as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But making a plan and trying to finish each part on time or even a little bit early will make it easier for you to break it down into bite-sized chunks to get you to that the ultimate goal of finishing your Eagle Scout. And also just ask for help. If you ask for help, people will help you.
And how do you do that? How do you ask for help? What does that actually sound like?
Sure.
That's we all
it's
say
not easy to do.
But what is it? Is it not easy, or is it just who do you ask? Where do you start with that?
Sure.
Let's if you have those experiences from your time, if you ever said, I need some help with this, or some motivation, or somebody to kind of give me some pointers on which direction to head. I
asked my brother a lot. Just to kind of get his advice, and he just kept saying, you just got to, take it day by day and make sure you have everything kind of figured out what you want to do with your project, and then execute that plan, and make sure that you're providing good leadership to the boys, because that's one of the important parts about that project is providing that leadership to your fellow scouts. And then my dad helped me out a lot. I asked him for help. I asked the scouts in my unit for help too, especially the one that I helped him with his Eagle project, and some of the boys also helped with his. And then we had the same group of guys help me out with mine. And then asking some of the other leaders for help, or when I was looking for materials or ways to kind of fund the project, they kind of gave me some pointers on that too, on where to look. And then asking my pastor for help to kind of say, this is the plan that I'm kind of thinking of. Is this what you're thinking of too? Is this what you want me to kind of do? And then from there, kind of going and making a plan that works. And kind of just asking a little bit of everybody really, really helped. Everything from adults to youth to people that are, going to be directly affected by the project, or anything else that you're working on. It can be tricky at times, especially sometimes you have adult leaders that they seem intimidating, but once you finally talk to them, they're not as intimidating anymore. Um,
And let me ask you that question. I'm glad you brought that up.
sure.
You said adult leaders can seem intimidating. Now, you're 26.
Mm-hmm.
Do adult leaders seem intimidating now?
Depends depends. It
Or
depends.
and I should say, do they seem that they all want to help the scouts, the ones that you talk with for the most part?
For the most part, I would agree. I think they do a really good job of making sure that, hey, if you want to do this, you can accomplish it. I will help you do it. And they do a really good job too of not like forcing the issue, because if you try to force a teenager to do something, 9 times out of 10 they're just going to be like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So just kind of giving them some good positive motivation. I feel like a lot of our leaders do a really good job of that, and it's incredible to see.
And so while the leaders, and I just want to hammer that one home because I think it's super cool, because it can seem intimidating, but for the most part, and by and large, that intimidation of not coming up and directly saying, "Can I help you?" is because they don't want to bug you.
Mm-hmm.
However, as soon as you ask them, they're there for you, and they're happy to be your sounding board to steer you in the right direction.
Yep.
And that's why they're there, right?
Oh, exactly.
They're there for the scouts to be a helping hand, to be someone who can guide them towards the goals that they have. But I think at the same time, they really want to know that the scouts going to commit to whatever they're going to do when they work.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, I just wanted to talk about that for a sec because I think it's really important that it's, while they may look intimidating, go ask them. They're happy to help you. They're not that intimidating at the end of the day. They're just people.
Yep, for sure.
Right?
And that's what they're there for. They're there to be a resource. They're there to guide you and get you where you want to go.
Exactly. So the last question that I've got for you, unless you have any other challenges or hills you had to overcome.
The only other thing I could say is don't give up.
Yeah.
It can seem intimidating, like you have this big mountain to climb, especially if you wait to the last second. But if you ask for help and get the right people in your corner, they'll make sure that you get to where you need to go. I've seen a lot of people where they get it done at like literally minutes before their 18th birthday or hours before their 18th birthday. They get all the paperwork done, but it's doable. You have up until that point to do it. Even if it's like 3 months or 5 months or a year out, you have time where you can get things done. So
right.
Make a plan and execute, and you can accomplish anything really.
How did you keep track of the different stuff you had to do, or like your plan? Did you write it down? Did you put it on a computer, on a phone?
Well, I think I mostly wrote it down in a notebook. I still do that today. I still have notebooks with notes and stuff that I need to do. Now it's nice with smartphones because you can make a plan and you can backdate a lot of your stuff. Especially in my professional role, I have to backdate a lot of the different things. Like, okay, I need to get this done for this camporee coming up. 6 months out. I need to get this done 4 months out, and then you just have those reminders in your phone, and then you can. All right, this is what I'm working on today. This is what I'm working on next week. And then you can do it one thing at a time instead of, oh crap, it's the week before. I need to get all of this stuff done in one shot. That's always stressful, and it's not very fun to do. I've done it before. I don't recommend it. I've probably done it way too many times now. But
that's okay. I've done it too.
Yep. If you execute and, make sure especially now with phones, it's pretty easy to, okay, I'm going to do this time. A few weeks later, do this later on. And then it doesn't seem as daunting if you're spreading everything out and not trying to do everything all at once.
Yeah. And was there anything that you thought was going to be super intimidating or felt super intimidating, and then when you got into doing it, it was really not as bad as you thought?
I'd say maybe the border review I thought was going to be more intimidating because it was an Eagle Scout border review versus just, my tenderfoot or second or first class one. But it really wasn't because I knew a lot of the people that were there. It was nice because the district advancement chair was actually one of the assistant scoutmasters in my troop and committee members. So having him there and running the whole thing, it just put me at ease right away. And one of the things that I really learned from just the border review part of scouting is how to interview and how to present yourself to a group of people and a panel of people. When I interviewed for the Boy Scout job, I think I had 1 hour interview with 2 of the field directors. And then my second interview was with the director of field service and the district director at the time. And then I came back for another round of interviews like right after I graduated, and it was a panel of volunteers, maybe 6 or 7, including the scout executive who's the head of the council. And then I went to another room where there was 4 or 5 other volunteers. And just going through that process of, okay, border review, you have a panel of people, it made it super easy to go into interviews, not only for working for the Boy Scouts, but also jobs that I had in college or when I applied to work on camp staff. It just became a lot easier. But the Eagle Scout one, because I knew it was the end and I knew it was the highest rank, it seemed intimidating, but as soon as I got in it, I was like, all right, I think I can do this. So it worked out nice.
Great. Yeah, that's great. Last question, we've touched on it a lot, is as a professional scouter, and that is a really unique perspective that you have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it, so I couldn't tell you, but you have it. What is there anything you would share from the perspective of a professional scouter that maybe we wouldn't know about scouts, and we'll talk about things that would be insightful to someone working on their Eagle Scout rank or just in general working on the ranks? We're going to focus on Eagle Scout rank.
Sure. I think the biggest thing is that Eagle Scout's such a rare achievement for a lot of boys, because if you think about all the boys that come in as a tiger or a wolf or a bear, and then multiply that by how many scouts that are in the country now, it's a pretty select few. I think it's around 4 or 5% of all scouts actually make Eagle Scout now.
It's actually up just over 6%.
Over 6, okay.
6%, I believe, is the current number. So it's going up, but
sure,
by and large, it's not that high. It's really,
that's a small percentage.
Really, really little.
Yeah, we had 3,000 scouts in the district this last year, and we have 3,000 this year, and only 53 scouts made it to Eagle Scout last year. So
wow.
Think about that as a way, and we've had up to 70 scouts earn Eagle. It just depends on who's to that point and how old the boys are to actually get up to that Eagle rank.
Sure.
One of the other thing is I think a lot of scouts, I don't know if they don't get to see the professional scouters very often unless they get up into higher positions in Order of the Arrow, like being a lodge chief or a lodge officer.
Well, look, I tell you what, I didn't even know when I was a scout anything about professional scouters.
Sure.
I didn't even know they existed. I didn't really understand the full structure of the scouting organization, and so that's why that's why I'm excited for you to share these perspectives and shed some light on it, so scouts understand if they don't, because I didn't have any idea. Now I know.
Right.
Now I better. But
now it's different. Yeah, and I didn't really either. I didn't really know about professional scouters. Right. You're in your troop and you have those adult leaders, and you feel like those are the only ones that are kind of around. But then as soon as you start going to district events and you start going to summer camp, and then you go to something like a national jamboree, that the next one's coming up in July over at the Summit, which is pretty sweet. You go to those types of events and you can see how big scouting is and how much reach it has and how many different moving parts there are. Moving up into being a chapter chief in the Order of the Arrow, I got to see a little bit more, and I got to meet the staff advisor for the first time and kind of started to figure out what professional scouting was, especially when my brother became a professional scout and I was still in high school. I got to learn a little bit more of the ins and outs of it. But one of the things that I wish happened a lot more being a professional scouter was getting invited to a few more Eagle ceremonies. I've got invited to a few, and I usually bring a written card of, hey, earning Eagle Scout is one of the most important things you can do in your life, and it can set you up for your future. And you're joining an elite group of people that have worked and become leaders of our country and CEOs and all these different people. And once you're an Eagle Scout, you're always an Eagle Scout. It's never going to change. There's no I was an Eagle Scout. And it's kind of fun to do that. And then I usually give them a little certificate that's separate of what their Eagle certificate is, just one on behalf of the district.
Right.
Just kind of a basic thing, but it's one of those little things that I like to do when I go to those ceremonies, and it's kind of fun to present to them too. And I've been able to have a little bit larger role in a couple Eagle ceremonies for some of the scouts that I knew their parents, and they kind of knew me through events and things like that. So that was pretty fun. But I'd like to go to a lot more for sure.
Okay, so that's like a shout out. If you are in Chris's district, he would love to be invited to your Eagle Scout ceremony and be a part of celebrating your accomplishments.
Yep, because I know how important it was for me and to have as many people at my Eagle ceremony. And it's one of the fun parts about the job is going and seeing the culmination of everything that they've done in scouting to that point, and see them earn their badge and see the smile on their face, see how proud their parents look when you're pinning the Eagle Scout badge on and putting the scarf around their son's neck, and then they're getting their Eagle mom and dad pins, and the mentor gets their pin, and it might be their 5th or 6th mentor pin, but they still love it every single time it happens. And it's one of those cool things that it only happens once for you as a scout to earn your Eagle Scout and to have that ceremony. So it's always special to go and see those for every boy that I can. So I enjoy those.
Right. And once you pass 18, you cannot, there's some stipulations in there that you can get it, but for the most part, it's over. You don't have the opportunity. So that's important. And it's a super cool way to celebrate, the accomplishment. So, Chris, anything else that you want to share with us? Do you happen to have a picture of you kayaking? I know you're pretty good at kayaking and you're a pretty big kayaker guy.
I'd have to pull it up on my phone. I think I have a picture of me running Baby Falls on the Tellico.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Show us a picture if you got it and see if you can stick it in front of the camera or load it.
Oh yeah. Here's me running Baby Falls.
Cool.
You might be able to see it.
Yeah, I think we can.
That is me running Baby Falls back in 2015.
Nice. So Chris is a pretty big kayaker, and he was introduced to that through Scouts, which is a cool, super wonderful sport, activity, lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. I'm a fan. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, no problem.
And anything else that you want to share?
I think that's it. Yeah. Don't give up. Good luck with everything that you're working on your Eagle Scout. Ask for help. And make sure that you celebrate your achievement. That's always the most fun part, is having that Eagle ceremony. Even if it's past your 18th birthday, you can still have the ceremony. It doesn't matter at that point. You're already an Eagle Scout. It's just recognizing the achievement at that point.
Awesome. So the parting words from Chris: don't give up, keep going, and recognize. Make sure that you celebrate the achievement. And did I miss anything?
Ask for help. That was the other one.
Ask for help.
Yep. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Ask for help. So, all right, Chris. Hey, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you hopping on with us and sharing your experiences and your knowledge, and that'll get passed on and appreciated by other scouts in the future, and which is huge, and that's really important. And so, thank you so much, and thank you for the work that you do as a professional scouter, because that's important, and there's a lot of it that you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for putting this on. This is really neat to have all these videos and give the aspiring Eagle Scouts some word of encouragement. And
absolutely,
it's an important thing, because it's sometimes when you get to that end point of, all right, I'm 17, I got all this stuff that I need to do. I don't know if I really want to accomplish it, but you can do it. You just got to ask for help and work hard and finish it up, and then celebrate afterwards. It's great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
You won't regret earning your Eagle Scout. You talk to any Eagle Scout, they don't regret it one bit.
No, you might regret not getting it.
Yes, and that's what I hear from a lot of people that make it to life or whatever position, and those ones sometimes are like the hardest workers to help other boys earn their Eagle, are the ones that maybe not have made it. So
yeah, no, they appreciate it. So
for sure. Right. Thanks for having me on, Sam. Appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon, Chris, and we will, everyone have a wonderful rest of your day.